beverages. I too am an Illinois Wesleyan grad. I graduated in 1990, and I have been so thrilled to work here now in the advancement office for about the past 8 years. I am honored and to introduce to you Dr. Stephanie Whyte. Stephanie and I were here at the same time. She's a little bit younger than me, but I am so proud when I met her again about 5, 6, 7 years ago maybe. She had just become the Chicago Public School System's first chief medical officer, which is huge. And with that, she had some really great initiatives. One is the epinephrine pen. She received her medical degree from Fitch University, the Chicago Medical School, in 1996, and then she went on to get her MBA in public and not-for-profit management in 2009 from St. Xavier University in Chicago. So she has had a wonderful career. She is now the medical director for the Aetna Better Health of Illinois, and it's an assistant clinical professor at Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science. So she's received a Distinguished Alumna Award from that school, and she is also now our Distinguished Alum for this year, and I'm proud to introduce her to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I'm not too bad. I'm happy to be here today. I am going to, thank you for being
Microphone.
here. You're being interested in that.
You turn on your microphone, please. Have you got it on?
It's on.
It is on.
It's on before I put it in my pocket.
All right.
Green light.
Okay. Let's double check something. I'm not here.
Now, I do have a large mouth. I
Oh,
can speak louder. Not a problem. Test, 1, 2, 3. How's that? Is that any better? Can you guys hear me? About the same? I should use my outside voice. There we go.
Didn't want to do that, but sorry about that.
No problem. So I can talk over this. We can keep it moving. But I just want to thank you guys for being here. And no, at no point did I ever imagine that I would have the opportunity to receive such an honor of all the former Titans that have walked across this beautiful quad, that I would be selected, one, to be a distinguished alumna, but then to actually come and be overwhelmed by just even having people in the room interested in hearing what I have to say today. I will tell you in full disclosure that I don't have a presentation. I'm not providing any CME. It's no lecture points for you. I'm keeping it very real, very 100, and very authentic, very unscripted. And it's not because I didn't prepare. It's just because the older I get, the more authentic I become, and the more I fly off the cuff, and the more I feel like what I need to say will come to me in the moment. And who better to tell my truth than me, and I already know that. So that's what we're going to do today. When I was told that I had to provide a back-to-school class, and I needed a title and a subject matter, that was problematic because I'm very authentic and in the moment, and I didn't know what I was going to feel like I wanted to say or what I wanted to talk about or what I felt conveyed for me, my Illinois Wesleyan experience, and what I wanted to bring back from what has been my time since 1991 when I left. And so I mulled it over for a while, ignored a few emails that came reminding me, hey, we need this, before I finally responded. And then finally got it together, and that's where I came up with perseverance and faith. As I think about my time here, and my experiences here on this campus, and from 1991 to where I sit 2015, I think that just captures my experience. And so for me, this is just me sharing my truth, my retrospective I hope it'll be humorous. My husband has challenged me on whether I can be humorous. So I need you guys to let him know by the end of this. That's him right there. Let him know if I hit the bill on that. So you walk out, let him know, thumbs up, thumbs down, whether I hit it. All right? Raise your hand, Mom. So, perseverance and faith. So let me give you some context. I am the case study for what not to do when it comes to college. How many of you decided to go to college, researched the institution you were going to go to, visited it, spoke to previous people who had been there, learned about it before you showed up on the first day? Just show of hands. How many people did that? I did not. I heard word of mouth from someone else that this was a good place to go to. I had only applied to 2 other schools, Georgetown and Northwestern. Someone else said I need a backup school. I made it University of Pennsylvania. Let that wash over you. Made it University of Pennsylvania. And then decided that because my mother at the time had open heart surgery and University of Pennsylvania had a $60 application fee, things were kind of sketchy. And this one had a free application. I'll just send it off because the classmate told me it was a good school. When Georgetown said, yeah, you didn't make it, Northwestern said, come on, I said, this is too close to home. And I'm 17 and I want to go away, so I'm going to go there. And even though my family staged an intervention, my uncle came, showed up at my house with his big Indiana University ring to tell me that Northwestern was a Big Ten school and where am I going? I showed up at Illinois Wesleyan the Saturday before classes started. First time on this campus, sight unseen. Again, case study of how not to go to college. But I am a believer that our steps are ordered and you are in the spot that you're supposed to be in for the reason you're supposed to be there. And I got here and I heard, and I didn't hear it, I don't think it was biology class, but I think it was in gym chemistry. You know, look to your left, look to your right. This person's not going to be here. You know, it was the end of the semester or the end of the year or whatever. And I really believed that. So I looked so I could remember whose face was on the other side of me. After, you know, the first exam, I realized that could have been my face that they were talking about. But I knew that from a very young age, I think it was 6, that I wanted to be a pediatrician. Not a doctor, but a pediatrician. So I came here knowing that I was going to be a pediatrician. And that, for me, never wavered. I had the, could you take care of that for me, Steve? I had the distinct pleasure of having the chairman of the biology department who was to be my advisor because I knew I wanted to be a pediatrician. Of course, the person you want leading you in the path is the chairman of the bio department. And I struggled. My truth. Throughout my undergrad career at Wesleyan, I struggled. It was not easy. I was told, you don't have to major in biology to go to med school. You're getting A's in French. Why don't you change your major? But not only was I going to be a pediatrician, I was going to be a bio major. I was going to be a biologist. And no, I wasn't going to teach biology. No offense to those who teach it. I was going to be a pre-med biology major. And so, my truth, I struggled. I didn't ask for help. I didn't know what I didn't know. Didn't know who to ask for help. Didn't know how to go about doing that because I was pretty smart. I had always been smart. I came from schools where I was always the smartest one in my class. Had always been at the top of my class. So clearly I just need to figure this thing out because that was going to work out for me here as well. But here I was told that because of where I came from, because of the schools I went to, that is why I was struggling. So it was almost my fault. And that's kind of how I internalized it. But perseverance and faith. Faith, the size of a mustard seed. I used to hear that all the time when I went to church. My grandparents used to say that. Didn't know what it meant. I saw a mustard seed later in life, and I was like, wow, that thing really is small. Couldn't contextualize it, right? And these are the things you reflect back on life that it really starts to make sense. When you get older, it makes sense to you. And when I talk to my kids now about working hard and how important it is to believe in yourself and to do these things, even when I mentor, it's hard to make sense out of it because logic would have said, you probably should have changed your major, or you probably should have made some other sacrifice, or you probably should have done some other things. But when you believe in yourself, when you know that you're supposed to do something, and when you just have that mustard seed faith, you don't hear the other things. So even though logic would have said, I am getting A's in French, and that would give me a higher GPA, and that probably would make sense for me to change some things around. That's not what I did. Went all the way through. So I believed against all odds, and it worked out for me. Not too shabby, not too shabby. So what are some lessons learned for me? Along the way, I learned about the value of the community I had around me. So one of the things I was asked about this weekend was think back to some advisors or staff or faculty who were here, who were a big support to me that really helped me along the way. And I thought about a lot of my interactions. And one of the things I've learned, being authentic, is that not every interaction in your life has to be positive to be of value. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our failures. We learn from our disappointments. These things empower us. These are our lessons that take us forward, and we do great things from them. And so I had a lot of life lesson moments in a lot of my experiences here, but not all of them were celebratory. So I didn't want to bring those forward, but I did want to talk about them because Illinois Wesleyan plays a critical role for me, and I'm very happy and honored to be a Titan. This is a pivotal point of my development. And though I struggled here, my GPA in medical school is better than it was at Illinois Wesleyan. My ability to perform on the medical college admission test was well at the national average, which, based on my GPA, full disclosure and honesty, would not have dictated that here. So my ability to learn here, my ability to grasp what I was supposed to get here, I got. The job was done, right? I got my money's worth. And I made some beautiful relationships along the way. The community that was established here for me, the friendships that I've made, the lifelong relationships, the ability to look back and recommend this institution for what it had to offer and be proud to have been a part of this. It's phenomenal. So when I tell you I'm happy to be here today, really happy to be here today. But when I mentor kids today, one of the things I talk about when I share my truth, because that's what I'm doing today, I'm sharing my truth, is I talk about asking for help. Knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know. And when you go through, I didn't know what I didn't know. And if I would have asked for help, like before my junior year when it clicked for me, because I had my aha moment came my junior year studying for the MCAT. Krebs cycle, like bam, I get it now. And the last 3 semesters of college for me was like a whole new experience. Like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is going in and out. Can you hear me? Yes. So the last 3 semesters of college for me was like, oh my gosh, a whole new day. And if that could have happened for me that first or second, would have been a different experience. But we have the experiences that we have. I would have not learned about perseverance. I wouldn't have learned about hard work. I wouldn't be able to convey that and have taken it to med school, to residency, to being able to think about saving lives in the same manner if I hadn't struggled here. And I think about that now. My son attends a Catholic high school. And the motto, and I'm going to butcher this, but the motto in this high school talks about the struggle that they have as they come in as boys, but leave as men. And just that full embracing of it, you know, and putting it out there up front. And so I saw that, and that made me think about my time here. And that honesty, that authenticity about it. And we don't talk about that. We don't talk about everything is not going to be a rosy day. And that's okay. Why does it have to be? We work hard for things. Why? Fast food society, we expect we get it. I want it this way, give it to me, and we get it. And life isn't like that. But we struggle, we work hard, and we enjoy the fruits of our labor. So, lessons learned. Ask for help, know what you don't do. Know what you know what you don't know. Believe in yourself. No one is going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. When you do believe in yourself, there's going to be people who don't believe in you. And who'll try to sway your mind on that. But you still need to believe in you. And I had a wonderful community of friends at Wesleyan. All of us didn't struggle. I remember one of my best friends who actually just texted me and said, "I'm running late, I'm so sorry. I had cookies and cupcakes for the lecture." She was a psychology major, and I would say, "Oh my gosh, I'm worried about this test," or she said, "Well, I don't understand. Why not change your major to something easier?" And she was always about, let's do the path of least resistance. And which was again logical and made sense. If it's that hard, let's do a path of least resistance. But for me, and I learned this about myself along the way, is I like a challenge. And if you're going to challenge me, I'm going to enamor myself to rise and challenge myself to rise to meet the challenge. Why can't I? Who says I can't? I'm going to show you that I can. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to learn from that. And then the last piece will be about being authentic. So many times we're concerned about what others think of us, about the impression that we give off. If I say this, you might think this about me. If you learn that I didn't do as well on the test, you might not think I'm that smart. If you hear that I live over here, you might think this about me. If you learn about this from my background or all these other things, we make these preconceived notions, these stereotypes or whatever, but we don't embrace who we are because we want to fit whatever mold. So I think one of the first things I told you when I came and I started here was there was no PowerPoint. It wasn't because I wasn't prepared. It wasn't because I hadn't thought about this, but that the older that I'm getting, the more authentic I'm being, and I'm going to give you what I feel I need in this moment. That I feel led to, and that's what's on my heart. And so I am happy, one, to be here this weekend, to have this opportunity to share with you and to be my authentic self. And you're either going to say, that wasn't humorous, and give a thumbs down as you walk out and look at my husband. You're either going to think, wow, she said some things, and some of that resonated with me. You're going to walk out and say, I'm going to write somebody about that. But either way, I was authentic in this moment, and I'm going to embrace that and accept that, because a part of being authentic is being able to do that. And I will tell you, I credit that to a part of my experience here. Because when I was here, and college is a part of that, the part of the college experience, right, is learning this. It's like you're 18, you come here, I was 17 when I got here, so you come here at 17 to 21, you're still figuring out who you are, you're You stay out late for the first time, you call your mom and say, Mommy, I stayed out 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, you're doing those things, you're living, you know, what you've learned, you're trying to live at your, to live it your own way and make some of your own decisions around it. But there's a lot of growth and development that happens during this time frame. And a lot of the experiences that happen here, though, carry you through the rest of your life. And when I think back to this pivotal role for me, of what Wesleyan has played, and I think about the authenticity I learned and what I didn't learn, right? Or what I didn't do. Or when I think about if I could go back and do one thing, the one thing I would have changed, there were moments I could have been more authentic. That being said, there were moments I was too authentic. And I've had to tone that down over the years. That comes with maturity. And I've done so, right? If you can imagine if I'm standing here and just being this open, imagine how open I was. 91, 24 years ago, right? So I think that we are placed in the moment that we're placed in because we're supposed to be there. I think we're all tools, we're all instruments, we're all servants, and we're supposed to be used. We have purposes that are divinely determined, and we need to allow ourselves to be used. So that is what I actually have set out to do. So after I left Wesleyan, I had the opportunity to go to medical school. I trained in medical school. I went to Louisiana, went trained in pediatrics, came back, served as in multiple communities around the city of Chicago, underserved neighborhoods as a pediatrician. I was what they call a black cloud resident when I served, meaning that if I was on call, whoever was coming in that night, it was going to be horrible. So, yeah, it was going to be somebody sick. Something horrible was going to happen. Black cloud over my head. But I was good so that if the attending physician had plans that evening, they usually kept them. So that was part of being the black cloud. Something bad was going to happen, but they felt okay if I was on. That was a part of my moniker during residency. But it made me very afraid to go out into the real world because I didn't want to have a life of having a black cloud over me because I didn't think that was going to be very quality. Thankfully, that ended with residency. I came back, I practiced in some of the more underserved neighborhoods of Chicago, Cabrini Green, the Austin community, near Southside, Roseland. And then I spent about 11 years taking care of kids who had asthma only on a mobile platform. So it was an actual retrofitted Winnebago that was turned into a clinic. And we went into some of the underserved, crime-ridden neighborhoods to provide specialty asthma care to those who would not otherwise get it. And when I say specialty care, specialized testing, allergy skin testing, specialist care, because otherwise they just don't have access. And we're able to have an impact of keeping them in school, keeping them out of the hospital, and keeping them out of the emergency room, was one of my great passions. Somewhere during that time is when I went to get my MBA, and then I ended up being the first ever chief health officer for Chicago Public Schools. So if you can imagine, third largest school district in the nation, never having a doctor work in the district to coordinate student health and wellness policy, to never have anyone look at what the impact of health is on academics. So clearly if Johnny can't see the board, he won't learn how to read. Clearly if he's sick or he's coughing because he has asthma and missing school days, it's going to impact his academic outcome. And so had the opportunity to enact policies that system-wide for 400,000 students created positive impact. And my first big one was to actually put epinephrine auto-injectors in the school buildings. And over the first 2 years that they were there, 70 lives were saved. We brought physical education back. Literally, high schools did not have to provide physical education for juniors and seniors at all. So we brought physical education back. We know that physical activity increases academic performance. Loads of research shows that. And we were led the nation in putting health and wellness policies in place around nutrition standards for schools, as well as recess, fifth movement, and the like. So in my 3 years, we got a lot of work done. And being the first ever, having them to appreciate the need for that and be actively filling the role speaks volumes to the legacy of the work. And I've since transitioned to go back to healthcare in a different capacity now, and to work around things around the Affordable Care Act, but have definitely seen the gamut of what has been what I would call a belief in being led. Again, our paths are ordered, and we go with your instincts and take those steps. And again, knowing what you know, believing in the ability to do so, and being authentic around it. So, are there any questions? I should have mentioned at the beginning that as a part of my authenticity, that I would come, I would share my truth, and then I would engage you in the process as well. I like the whole participatory thing. So because I forgot to mention that part, I'll say that, then I'll ask you. Are there any questions?
So you talk about kind of coming into school here at Wesleyan with this idea of being a pediatrician. And obviously, I'm struck by kind of the different directions that your career has taken since you became a doctor. And I'm curious about how you talk to your students about that, about kind of taking that dream and then using it in maybe some non-traditional or non-linear ways of kind of creating this pathway that might not be as expected as that first day of class in biology.
Yeah. So I think that's an excellent question, thank you. I think it's about being flexible. So I think what happens is you have a dream, right? And this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. And my experience was I want to be a doctor. And I had a to-do by 30 list. By 30, I wanted to be married, with a kid, with a home, and board certified. Literally, by my 30th birthday, we had an offer on a home. I had already sat for my boards. I had been married for 2 years. And what was the other one? I was pregnant. So literally I had all that by 30. And so then the next 2 years I had this, what now? Real talk, I had a what now? And so I had to sit what I want to do. So I was doing everything I wanted to do. And what I loved about being on the asthma van for those 11 years was cliche. I want to have an impact. I felt that every day. Every day someone came and told me, Dr. Whyte, my child is running, he's in school, he's not missing. I had that every day. But what I learned is I wanted to have a broader impact. And that's what it changed for me. And before I went to the asthma van, my concern was I was seeing birth to 18 every day, full pediatrics, and it went straight just to being subspecialized in asthma. And then after doing that and having one-off impact, I wanted to, how do I take this and have it broader? And I think getting the MBA and then having the opportunity to work for the school district gave me that. So the ability, again, to allow your steps to be ordered, because when I went to do the MBA, I had no idea what I wanted to do with that. I didn't even, not just share it with you, I didn't even go for the purpose of getting the MBA. So just allowing your path to kind of be ordered and appreciate your serving along the way kind of did take some of that. So the flexibility of it all.
Talk a little bit more about your struggle being academic.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you mentioned that was a core thing that not work here,
Mhm.
students who some want to be biology majors. So,
Do they want to be biology majors or are they
yeah, they are
biology?
biology majors. They want to be biology.
Okay. So, absolutely. So I will tell you that I was the valedictorian of my 8th grade graduation class. I was the kid who had, I could have moved from 4th to 6th grade, and the teacher told my mother, oh, she can do the work, but I don't know if she's developmentally appropriate. I had the chance to go from 7th to 9th grade, and my mother was like, well, I don't know if I'm ready for that. So my 8th grade year was squandered for me. I was bored that entire year. So by the time I got to 9th grade, I was like, oh. And it took 9th grade for me, we did, after the first semester of 9th grade, we did class rank. And I was ranked 27th. It's amazing how I know these details, right? I was ranked 27 out of 135 kids. Had a 2.67 GPA. And I was kind of like, oh, never been this low. But it took the fact that it was a girl that I played volleyball with, came in, and it was 3 of us tied for 27. And I was like, real talk, I am smarter than her. And so I spent the rest of my high school career calculating out every A and B that I had to get my GPA up, to make National Honor Society, to be at the top. I think I was the top 10% of the class by the time we graduated. You know, a great ACT to, come to Illinois Wesleyan, the Midwest, to major in biology. And so I got here feeling really great about the efforts, knowing that I was on this high horse, I'm going to do great. And my first semester grades, I'm authentic, I own my truth. Gym biology, gym chemistry. Gym bio, I had a D. Gym chem, I had a C, first semester grade. That was a huge, huge blow to ego and wake up. Because I'm going to be a pediatrician. Real talk, that never changed for me. I'm going to be a pediatrician. So the struggle was real, and it started when I got here. And so, as I said, I had the chairman of the bio department as my advisor. So I'm sitting here, okay, I'm going to be a pediatrician. How do we do this? This is when I said I never asked for help, but that's not 100% true. I said, these are my grades. What I was told was I was from the inner city, that my grades are a little different because the schools aren't the same as they are for some of the other kids who come from different districts. That, I just need to work harder, but I got an A in French, so I might want to think about that being my major. So that's what I was faced with initially. So I didn't feel like I did not initially have okay, let's problem solve or strategize this. So I felt like I had to take that on my own to figure it out. So I did a lot of spinning of my wheels on my own to try to figure that out. But I never wavered in the fact that I was going to be a physician. So I plowed through. By the end of the next semester, I had a C in biology. And the D in gym chem, but that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. You could have 6 D's in your core major and still graduate. Why do I remember that? I'm just saying. So, struggle was real. When I tell you that it literally hit for me my junior year, it really did. Because junior year is when you start to prepare for the MCAT. And I took the Kaplan course. And it was in the middle of the Kaplan course, that Krebs cycle. I don't know if it was, I remember the moment as if I was sitting at the desk and there was a veil over my eyes and someone slowly lifted the veil. Krebs cycle made sense. It was a light bulb that went off. Everything that had ever been taught to me to that point at Wesleyan made sense. And I felt like, I just got it. And so for me, when I talk about perseverance, it was a never giving up. So I never stopped working. I never stopped trying. I didn't see the A's and B's like I saw in high school here. I would definitely say that my study skills along the way got better. Because when I tell you that my GPA was better in med school than it was at Wesleyan, a part of that was the fact that everything that we were tested on here was essay and short answer. And by the time I got to med school and I was doing multiple choice, I was still studying essay and short answer. So that made a huge difference when I was setting the curve in med school. When here, I was breaking back, right? So I definitely think that's a part of it. So, and we didn't have, it must have been probably about sophomore, junior year when we started the process, maybe junior year, of actually having like a multicultural advisor, multicultural affair advisor. So we didn't have that. So we didn't even have that type of support for the minority students here at all. It was just, you're on your own, you're part of the general student body. So whatever the differences you might have, figure out. So yes, I would say for, again, that's 1987 when I came in. So it was a different beast. It was a different beast. But perseverance. If you don't ask me something, I'll pick you.
My question is contingent on asking you one first. Did I understand that now your career has moved over into an insurance company where you're involved in supervising, working with Affordable Care Act and approving or disapproving of payment of various items in pediatric care?
And managing projects as it pertains to the health of our members and making certain they're utilizing their benefits. So those who have asthma, making certain that they are
plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll ask the question. I think we probably are going to be right on the same page as I am, but I'm a pediatrician, Wesleyan trained.
Woo!
Love it to death. Nothing better than taking care of kids. Specialized in newborn intensive care and did it for 30 years in a teaching setting. And then I had a little shortfall in excitement, so I went over and managed some of the managed Medicaid side as the Associate Medical Director of a managed Medicare HMO for a couple of years. University-based, handled the pediatric side. I got disillusioned with that whole process and went back to patient care and was happier at that point. Ed Pellegrino, one of the most respected bioethicists of the past 20 or 30 years, rest his soul, came out at one point during that sequence with the idea that the idea of a for-profit insurance company paying for health care had intrinsic conflicts of interest to the degree that probably it was actually unethical. And I came around to that view that denying services based on the profit of my company really didn't get me anywhere with the patients that I was supposed to be helping. And so my question to you is, what's your perspective on that? How are you doing with that and the folks that have the bottom line in mind as opposed to the outcome of the patient?
That's an excellent question. I have to throw my husband under the bus because I come home every day and my husband tells me, you need to stop trying to save the world. So I'm going to take that question and go even broader. I think the system is fractured. And what bothers me is that we have multiple players in the system, and I think of it in the regards of when the puppeteer is pulling all the strings and they don't want to be discovered, so they focus everything on the provider versus the payer. So this is where all the dust gets kicked up at, but no one's looking at the politicians, no one's looking at the pharmaceutical companies, no one's looking at the other players where a lot of the dirt really sits, and the system is so fractured that no one really understands the entire interplay, but everybody's looking at these two people kicking the ball. So it's not, the fractured nature of it doesn't allow for the entire pie to be taken into consideration. So I agree to the extent that from the Medicaid managed care side, somebody has to pay for it. And if there is $1 to pay for it, what can we do with the $1? So to that extent, decisions have to be made, correct? Right. But if with $1 I have to buy medication, and medication that yesterday was 10 cents, you decide tomorrow will be $50, it's problematic. If I've elected you to serve and represent for me, and you decide that you're going to make a conversation over here, and there'll be some kickbacks and what have. So there are so many multi-level, fractured systems in play that I come home and I talk about, okay, how do we get all the players, the right people sitting at the table so we even understand the process. I'm certain you spoke with other providers, other physicians who didn't even understand how the whole process worked.
Most don't.
Right, most don't. And the longer you've been a physician, you know we're reared with the, I'm the doc, I asked for it, why can't I have it? So we're stuck there. And so the education process around it is huge. So I'm on the, how do we create the solution where everybody understands the roles as well as we get the right people at the table solving for who the important person is, who's the member, who's the patient. So I would love to talk to you about that more because I am going to save the world. Despite that, I'm going to save the world. But I promise you I come home every day with another, and this happened, and if I couldn't, he's like, we're trying to save the world. Every day. Right, sweetie? Every other. That's good.
I'm from Chicago, and I'm just wondering how your policies and the things you put in place, are they being continued or what's
At
happening?
CPS? They are. So they are hiring. They are actively hiring. I know that they are looking at candidates. They were nice enough to include me in the process, which spoke to the commitment. For me, it's one thing, it's great to come to me and say, I was the first. It didn't exist until I got there. And I did this. It means nothing if you walk away and it disintegrates. And that was very important for me to be able to set something in place that lives on. And, during the tenure, we were able to bring in over $10 million of federal funds to support our work. Federal funding is finite. You get it for 24 months, you get it for 36 months, it's gone. So in that 24 to 36 months, what can you do to get the ball rolling, to get things absorbed so that the district can take it on and it lives on? So that was also key and critical. So we were able to do some things. My department that I established is still there. The work, half of the team had got absorbed by the district under some of the funding opportunities that they had. And so that was just embedded and not subject to cuts. And then the other piece is that they were hiring for a chief health officer despite despite the financial pieces. And there was a partnership there between not only Chicago Public School District, but Chicago Department of Public Health. So there was a bi-department commitment to this work and what was moving forward. So hopefully, as the dust settles and they move forward, they should have someone in place before the new year. We'll see. But the work lives on, which is, for me, the biggest testament to it.
Can you talk a little bit about the value that you've seen in staying connected to Wesleyan and the other schools that you've gone to since you left?
So that's a great question. That is a great question. So I will tell you, I don't know about anyone else in the room being the first to go to college. So not necessarily having that model of what the alumni relationship looks like, what that connection piece looks like. So you leave, you feel like you got what you got, you might have some feelings, whatever they might be when you leave, so you don't necessarily go, what, you want money from me? What, huh? As I've matured, I have a different look, a different appreciation, especially as you can reflect back. So it's been a real pleasure for me actually to be able to have the opportunity to connect in whatever fashion. One of the things that I've done, this would be a great picture. This would be a great example of it. I'm very organic, as I said. I walked up here just going to be authentic to you, unscripted, And when my team at work, one of the things we did on a retreat was we did yearbook awards. And one of the yearbook we had to vote for members of the team. One of the things we did was the award for the most likely to give unsolicited advice. And I'll give you one guess on who got that award, but I consider myself a mentor. And you may not ask me to mentor you, but I feel like if I got something to say and it's going to benefit you, who am I not to bless you with that? Because again, we are servants. We should be used. And if I have something that I can share, you can either let it go in this one and out the other one, or you can let it resonate with you. But that's what I'm going to do. And so I kind of feel that way. I haven't necessarily set up any formal relationships for mentoring students or anything along the way for any of the schools that not sure. I'm on faculty at Rosalind Franklin, so the students were able to go through my office and do a rotation when I was at Chicago Public Schools. But I just feel like any opportunity to be available is tantamount. I've been able to be on the President's Advisory Council for St. Xavier. I was able to come back at Wesleyan and speak at the Council of Honors and Women. So just being accessible, I think, is huge, and I have been able to get some financial support as well. So I think the further off you get, the more you're able to reflect back and know that you want to contribute and let someone else, have that experience and the benefit thereof. Anyone else? I'll pick somebody. You trying to say what time it is?
I spoke with a senior biology major last night, and she was a winner of a scholarship. And she made the statement that I really wanted to go into pre-med, but then I decided that I really wanted children, so I changed my major, not major, but I decided to just be a biology major. Is she making a mistake?
So.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know her whole story, but I have 2 children sitting in the front row. It's doable. It's definitely doable. And that might be an excuse for something else, right? Yeah, is what I would guess. So, anyone else? Is there anybody else in the room from the class of 1991? So wonderful. Well, if not, thank you. So can I just get a show of hands? Was it humorous?
So there.
Entertaining even. There we go. And thank you for the questions and the story.
Thank you. I know the Cubs are playing, so.
Yeah. Go Cubs. Well, you know what? So let me just say that too. I came to Wesleyan in 1987, diehard Cubs fan, got down here and can only get Cardinals baseball. Can I just tell you, I had huge issue with that. Huge issue with that. Central Illinois, Cardinals baseball. Where they do that at? I'm just saying.
Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your homecoming. We have 3 speakers, I believe, tomorrow as well.